I want to talk about Mercury today. Slick Willie there. He's Loki. He rules Gemini as Buddha, Thoth, Hermes, Viracocha, Lord Pakal, but in Virgo he's different. In Virgo he's feminine. He's the baby in the arms of what they're calling the Virgin Mary. It would be Mary Magdalene. This Cancer would be the Virgin Mary, not Virgo. She's the matriarch, the divine feminine. That's why in the Catholic Church they have Mother Mary is assumed into heaven. Assumption is the mother of all F-ups. And it was the Assumption of Mary where the Catholics went wrong. They do the moon cracker, the moon wafer, right? And they're venerating water because they are a water sign, Pisces. This is water world. We live in Pisces water world. So they're venerating cardinal water, which represents Mother Mary, the divine feminine. It's also the destroyer. Cardinal water destroys, right? Mutable water, which is where we are at. It does both. It creates and destroys. Fixed water. This is the time in history when the sun rose in the spring equinox in Scorpio. It was the time that the Spirit of God moved over the face of the waters. How do I know that? Because the eagle represents the Spirit of God. In the Native American medicine cards, the eagle is the number 1 card. The number 2 card is the hawk. The first card flies closest to God. He's the Spirit. And the second card, the hawk card, is the messenger. Also in the heavens, all bird signs refer to air signs. Here the bird sign is the water. It's because the eagle, representing the Spirit, moved over the face of the waters. It's also the time in the Native American history. This is the turtle. It's the eagle, it's the turtle, it's the scorpion. To me, what happened, they took the scorpion that belonged to the Persians. The Persians had their scorpion here instead of the ram. And they have moved everything around and just put what they wanted anywhere they wanted it. This circle, alchemy helps you decipher it. It's encrypted, it's decoded, it's distorted, but it has an original state. And the Bible actually tells the story. You can go through just about any, what they're calling religious books, and see the story. The story we have really comes, our age is from Taurus, Aries, and Pisces. They keep showing us the God of Aquarius, our Father who art in heaven. All air signs are heaven signs. But they have us worshiping the God of fire, thou shalt not, those frickin' 10 commandments, the God of war, Mars, and then the God of slavery, which was Egypt. And Egypt was an abomination. That should have never been there. It was never there to begin with. They superimposed it there. But Venus ruled here on earth, and then in the next age, Moses deified Venus as a god on the pole, Libra. So, it's the same story. Now, Gemini does the same thing. Gemini rules an earth sign. I meant Mercury. This Mercury debilitated is really killing me. Mercury goes from earth to heaven, Gemini. Libra goes from heaven to earth. And then in Aries is venerated again as the serpent on the pole in heaven. Mercury does the same thing. Mercury goes from earth to heaven. And in this age of Pisces, he's venerated in Virgo again. All of the planets are split like this. Jupiter seems to be the bad guy in Pisces. He wears the masks, he's a liar, he's a usurper, he twists everything, it's all upside down and reversed. But in Sagittarius, he's the philosopher, the reasonable mind, the illuminated mind, the philosopher's stone almost. But Saturn is the only one that's not split. He is earth and heaven, heaven and earth. This is the new age, and I saw a new heaven and a new earth. Why didn't they call it a new earth and a new heaven? Why was it put that way? You need to ask yourself questions about questions. I started out really young. I wanted to know, why do we use this word? Why do we call a tree a tree? Do you have any idea why you call a tree a tree? Because it starts, when you plant a seed in the ground, it puts up one stem. That's a universe. It's a universe. But when it divides, it splits into two, based on the Fibonacci sequence. 1 + 1 is 2. And then it puts on 3, because 1 + 2 is 3. So it hits its first stage. It comes out of the universe into a triverse, or a tray. It's 3. It's all in one. The tree is male and female. It has its trunk, its branches, its fruit, its seed. The earth is the womb of the tree. It's like the earth is feminine and the tree is the masculine. But then the seed is in the fruit. A strawberry is not a fruit. It's a berry. Its seeds are on the outside. A tomato is a fruit because the seeds are on the inside. A peanut is not a nut. It's a tuber. Nuts grow on trees, not underground. Agriculture. Saturn rules agriculture in Capricorn. I grew up on not just a farm, a frickin' plantation. About 250,000 acres of cotton, sugarcane, cattle. We had pecan orchards, walnut orchards. I grew up around all of this, and I learned about every frickin' bit of it. Hands-on. We didn't really have a childhood. We were worked. You had chores you did. And during the summer, we were always kept busy working because my mother knew that's how to keep us out of trouble. Keep them busy. So I took time to learn all of this. I was actually fascinated with it. So when first time I read the Bible, I got all the metaphors about farming and planting seed, the reaping and the sowing, and how it's all done, and how it's done, and it's seasonal, and it's the seasons of our lives. But you know, Mercury here, I think about Jupiter and what he said about being crucified upside down. and that puts Mercury Mercury is, I wonder, why is Mercury exalted in Virgo? He's the only one that's exalted in his own house. And that's strange, to be exalted in your own house. But he rules commerce. And that he's ultimately the downfall of the statue of Nebuchadnezzar. Its feet mixed with iron, Mars, and clay, Mercury. And that's the downfall of it. And then you have the stone, or that comes from heaven, Omaha, that destroys Nebuchadnezzar's statue. We've talked about Nebuchadnezzar's statue. Let me do that for you real quick again. He has the head of gold, sun. The symbol of Babylon is a lion. It was the age of Leo, and it was before the flood. They've chronologically destroyed everything in the Bible. You can forget about thinking that book is in order. To start with, it's 66 books, and each book is to read each book, you must know the legend for that book, because it's like reading a map. Every book is a map. It's a map of the heavens. But to read a map, you must know the legend. It's like getting on the bus here. To know where you need to go on the bus, you go look on the map. But to understand the map, you have to know the legend. You have to know the story behind each of these to be able to truly read it. This age is the blind leading the blind. They say the road to hell is paved with good intentions. And the church, let me just do this, the church, which is here in the sheepfold, in the head of the frickin' beast, these are the people sitting in the pews. And they are the power. It's the collective conscience of the masses for Pisces. That's what it's about. And they harness that in the churches and in the sports stadiums. And Jupiter set up the mystery schools. In Arabic, Jupiter has two names. One of them is Nibiru. The other one is Mushtari. And that's where we get mystery schools. So I wonder about this Jupiter-Mercury dichotomy we have going on here on the mutable cross. Because I'm Capricorn, and I clearly see how I am opposed to the water in Cancer. This is the divine feminine. It is Mama's house. It's the destroyer, and this has been my opposite. My mother is my biggest problem in my life. Always has been. This is the issue. We're opposite. She's never been my mother or even my friend. It's more like a competitor, an authoritarian. Very unusual, but I get it because I also have a sister that's Cancer, whom I love very much. She was probably my favorite sister, but she can't stand to be in the same room with me. She literally can't stand me and has no reason for it. But I get it. We are opposed. And there should be this opposition between Virgo and Pisces, Mercury and Jupiter. And then he tells you his cross is upside down. The mutable cross is upside down. That's why everything here is twisted. They want to do this age again. They're having us do this age. We're in the wrong time. To understand now what they're doing now, you have to understand it from a perspective of Pisces. I meant Virgo, because Pisces is not at the top of its cross. It's at the bottom. Let's look at what the mutable, let's look at Peter's cross. Peter's cross is upside down, and it has earth at top instead of water, ruled by Mercury. It has water at the bottom, ruled by Jupiter. Let's see. This would be right and that would be left. So Pisces right would be Gemini. So now Gemini would be here on the left and Sagittarius on the right. So you have Jupiter, Jupiter, Mercury, Mercury. And this is the way it looks. You have Virgo, Sagittarius, Gemini, and Pisces. Earth, water, air, fire. And this is the way it should have been. This was the way the cross was, but the bar was here in the age of Virgo. Now, why would they want to do that? Because that's what they remember. This was really right, what you would call right before the, or right after the real fall from heaven, when those from heaven to earth came. Before the flood and after the flood, Gemini into Taurus, heaven into earth, just like we're going to do in Aquarius, from heaven to earth. Now, when the sun moves, we go from earth to heaven. But because the sun retrogrades over eons and ages backwards, that's the other story. There's two stories. This record plays both ways. Where this now, they consider their golden age was Leo. And we know about Leo was right before the flood. So Leo is as it was in the days of Noah. So Leo is in the days of Noah. But this was the great age, really. This was when, kind of like now, when they built up the technology, when it was a lot more understanding and knowledge than we have now. But they have, not only are we on the wrong cross, but they flipped the mutable cross on us. When Jupiter decided to be crucified upside down, hands the power to Mercury, therefore he's exalted in his own house. And that's the very thing that causes the statue of Nebuchadnezzar, Babylon, ruled by the sun, Leo. And he had a head of gold, which is the sun. The arms of silver, which is the moon, ruled by Cancer. Then he has the waist of bronze, which is copper, Venus, and it's supposed to be mixed with tin, Jupiter. But Jupiter is the opposite of Gemini. So obviously this cross has always been flipped, because we have Mercury and copper here, not tin and copper. But if that mutable cross has always been flipped, then power would be here, Jupiter upside down, power would be here, mixing with the tin makes copper. A copper and tin make bronze. And then we move into the legs of iron, which is the age of Aries. And then it mixes itself. This is fire and ice. This is that battle of fire and ice. And I told you what they did. This is the Game of Thrones. Fire mixes with water. And you get the Magen David, the Star of Division. Actually, it's the Star of Coming Together. If they say free, that means slavery. If they say division, that means chimera. everything is upside down on this frickin' mutable cross. And that's how they stay in control. I want to show y'all the sheepfold here. I got a lot of new subs. Unfortunately, this program only lets me do one thing at a time. I'm going to keep going back to this because I want y'all to understand the sheepfolds. The Egyptians, they took our images, but we still have the lines. The flock is the Pleiades. The jaw, that's the evil eye. The right eye and then the evil eye, Aldebaran. He's the wizard. He casts the spell. It's the wizard and his dog. It's Dorothy and her dog. It's feminine. It's Dorothy and her dog. And the sheepfold moves from Leviathan, the beast that comes up out of the sea, religion. It moves from the flock in Pleiades and Taurus. And then the sheep are moved into the church. This is what I call the church, our religion. And then in the next stage, let me get it, the sheep come way over here. And this is a bird sign. This is an air sign. Let me get the right one. It's not going to give it to me. Let's go to Western. It's the grus. It's the bird. I guess the Deneb al-Nar. And just al-Nair. And it's right below Thalem. And this is where we go. And it's a much smaller sheepfold. Its angles are different. But it's still in. So what was the abyss over here, and so this moves it into a heaven. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 birds. Here is Indus, which is the Native American with the full headdress. They're really filling in the blanks for us. Everything, these are all the symbols for the next few ages that we'll be using. These are the ones that came before. We have Pegasus, the rider on the white horse, right? The king on the white horse. Pegasus is symbolic for your memory. When the rider on the white horse comes, that's all your memory coming back. When you open your third eye, with it comes your memory. And that's how you get to the Father. You go through the hypothalamus. He rides the white horse. When you trigger the hypothalamus, you trigger not only your third eye, but your memory as well. And it's not so much you go to a new world as you remember that it's always been there. But these are the symbols next. For the next 2 ages, these are going to be your symbols. The peacock always goes with Sagittarius because that's the illuminated mind. And they got the Indian upside down here, which indeed they've done that. Aquila. Let me think of what sci-fi that was. I've always been into sci-fi, and they do. If you can get past the storylines and what's going on, the characters and all the shit in it, the script. It's all about the script. And let me see which one it was. It was Stargate, SG-1, and they told you about the ancients, right? The ancients built the Stargates. And when they were in the Avalon series of Stargate SG-1, way down the line, almost toward the end of the series, they told you the name of the ancients were the Altairs. And this is the other eagle. This is the open winged eagle. And he's Aquila. But Altarians were the original gate builders, which is the upper house of the God of creation, let there be. And so this is where the story begins. It's where the story begins in Star Wars. The story begins in Capricorn. It goes back and prequels Aquarius and tells you he will return. But the story is the story of the Jedi. And that's from Deneb al-Gedi, or the, Al is the Jedi, all the way to Secunda Gedi, or Al-Jedi, the Jedi al-Gedi. Now you know what the Getty Museum is, and Getty Images. It's just a play on the Jedi, or Capricorn. You know, let's talk about this God of the Old Testament, the God of thou shalt not, because he's very different than our Father who art in heaven. And Thalem made that very clear when he was talking to the Pharisees as to who was whose father. And, of course, the father of Aries, that fiery serpent on the pole, and then the mutable cross, Pisces, is crisscrossed. We're not only double-crossed, they flipped this fucker upside down. I can't believe I didn't see that before. They've been showing it to us in the Catholic Church. They've done put the upside down Peter's crucifix there. Jew Peter's crucifixion. So, when the mask comes off, right, the Illuminati card deck, they've showed us everything. They showed us the Clintons, they showed us Trump, they showed us the Twin Towers, they showed us Flat Earth. There's two cards left that really need to be played. One is where the mask comes off. And is it going to be Jupiter behind the mask? Or is it going to be Mercury? Now, Judas sold out for the money. We're told that Judas Iscariot is the son of Simon, and that's Peter. So Judas Iscariot, that would make Peter Iscariot, would it not? The son of, or Simon Iscariot changed his name to Peter, Jupiter. Is it Mercury? You know, they give us this botched Greek tale about Venus, how Venus comes out of the head of Jupiter, right? Well, that's just where it crosses in the heavens. The real story is the constellation that it happens in is what matters, because they cross each other all the time. Venus moves faster than Jupiter, so anytime she comes in front of Jupiter, she pops out his head. But there's a connection. There's much more of a connection with Mercury than Venus. I think that's been switched. It's the old bait and switch. And remember, we're in the age of Pisces. This is fish tails. These are Leviathan tails. You know, when you go fishing, I'm from the South, and when you fish, you've got to tell the lie about the one that got away. Did you catch anything? Oh man, the one that got away. I almost got him in the boat, and then he ate the back of the boat, and I had to swim to shore. So he got away, you know. That's what this age is about. It's one damn big fishtail. It's who can tell the biggest lie. It's almost like we're in a damn game show, and to win the game, you have to tell the biggest fucking lie. Excuse my French. My French. I do have French blood in me. I'm a half and half. But this, I don't know whose face is going to show, Mercury or Jupiter, when that mask comes off. Mercury's the trickster. He's the one who likes to go ha 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 ha, but all of them are split. And they all have a positive aspect and a negative aspect. Somebody wants to know about what the other Illuminati card is. How do I know that? I don't know. That's one of those things I'd like to know. How do I know that? The other Illuminati card deck that needs to be played is where the script runs out, the film. They show you the film canister and the film is over. I've told you, we're at a late night double feature picture show. They've told us this. But when the sun comes up, we're at the Opera House. We're at the late night double feature picture show at the Opera House. And we're watching the show go down, and when it's over, the film runs out, the sun comes up, the doors open, and we all walk out. And that's what's going down. Now, Mercury rules air and earth signs with Venus and Saturn. This whole age is founded on Mercury. It's on commerce. We live in an economic civilization. They've got everybody arguing over politics. This ain't about politics. They don't care about politics. It's the bankers. This is rub-a-dub-dub, 3 dudes in a tub. It's the butcher, the baker, and the candlestick maker. The butcher is the king. He runs the wars. The baker is the banker. He makes the dough. And the candlestick maker is the priest. He's the one who anoints the king and shows the people the light. Rub-a-dub-dub, 3 men in a tub. No doubt about it. We all need to be singing London Bridge is Falling Down. It's what we need to be singing. They used to have us singing that in school and they took it away. Just about the time they changed everything here. When I grew up, like I said, it was Pan American Highway. We had a beautiful golden sun. I shit you not. They have turned this boat around. There has been a mutiny. I think that mutiny began seriously at the Kennedy assassination. It began a long time before that, but that was the coup d'etat. And then we just have been going into darkness ever since. And now we have this white hot sun who really doesn't nourish us. Its frequency is changing. Luckily, it's going through let's show the change. Let me show you what the change looks like. It's going from water to air. And this one has a line on the top. So it's a little different than the other one. You can put it on a chain as long as there's another line. It's like the earth sign. That this is air and this is earth. Don't do that. Earth. And Stargate, when he's deciphering the symbols and he shows you that symbol, he's actually showing it to you upside down. But because that could be air, this would be air this way. You have to turn it upside down to make it earth. But that's where we're at. And it seems Mercury has more power here than Jupiter does. And they sure do venerate the little finger. Little finger. Now you know who Mercury is. He's the little finger. Everybody in Game of Thrones, you would think that Mercury would be represented by the dwarf, Tyrion Lannister, but he's not. Tyrion is representative of Jupiter. He's the biggest little guy on the block. He's the dwarf star. He's the dwarf. He is a burnt out brown star. He's a dwarf star. They tell you who Littlefinger is. Littlefinger's Mercury. He does it for the money. He wants the power. He doesn't have any royal blood. He buys his way into things. He's conniving, devious, murderous, and he has a hunger for power. So keep your eye on the little guy and the little finger. Alright? That's Jupiter and Mercury. And they, in the series, they joined forces several times, but are not fond of each other. because they're both playing the same game of thrones, right? They're playing the game of thrones when the throne belongs over here. This is who gets the throne. These are just placeholders. The Pope calls himself Vicar of Christ. Vicar comes from vicarius, and that means instead of, in place of, which is funny. Isn't that what Daenerys says to make the dragons burn? Vicarius? Vicar? Interesting. I'll have to look into that. Am I remembering that wrong? Somebody put that in the comment box and tell me. Did I get that right? Doesn't she say vicarius to make the dragon burn? I'll have to go back and look at that. But it means instead of, in place of, anti. Wrong one. None of these, or this is the monarchy. This is the real monarchy here. All the rest of them have been fakes, phonies, faux pas. We get the real, where he comes in on the white horse, and you get the King of Kings and Lord of Lords. Because you are the king of your life. You go in your bathroom, you purify, and you sit on the throne. You're king. You're the king of your own castle, which is your body. It's your temple. People like to adorn their temples. But when you go inside, they're hollow dungeons and ghosts and cobwebs and darkness. This age has been so about the body, when your body is nothing. It's ashes to ashes and dust to dust. It's your consciousness, your memories. You think they're gone. You think you forget shit. It's all there. That rider on the white horse is you. It's your higher self. It's all your memories. It's everything that ever was. It's quite incredible when it happens. I can quite clearly see how Edgar Casey did it. How he's able to tap that and access that. We all have our own unique talents and abilities. We each need to discover what ours are. And ironically enough, I would have never found mine had I not found astrology. I don't even really want to call it that because it's so different than other astrology. I've never studied astrology. Literally, the only astrology books I've ever bothered to read are old ones. The ones I offer, that depict different ages. You can tell when they're written, what kind of magic it is. But alchemy, truly. Alchemy was the key that put everything together. And so I can clearly see it for what it really is. It's a freaking magic circle. It's a spell. It's a magic circle, a spell, a seal that's been cast on this whole place. It's the seal of 12, and we're in the middle. That makes us the 13th. I can see how they want to bring Orion in as the 13th sign. And they want to bring Ophiuchus in as the 13th sign. Because they're the left hand and the right hand of the fixed cross. It's the feminine axis of the fixed cross. It's the feminine axis of the fixed cross. They want to stay in the feminine magic. Why pick those two? Oh, because Pisces, I told you the Vatican, when they do their magic, when the Vatican does its magic, water, it has the moon, Cancer, and Ophiuchus, water. Water, water, water. That's how they do their moon. That's how they do their magic. Every time they cast a spell, the moon, which is water in Cancer, and the spell is cast from the water in Pisces, so they put the moon on the fixed cross, right there. This was the 2016 reset ritual, reset to get her ritual. And then on 9/11 and all of the other big rituals, we have the moon in Taurus, generally right here over the moon pillar in Taurus, or in the evil eye. the Oculus Boreas. And this is done by the other part of the Vatican, which is the Black Lodge. The Black Pope does his magic here on Earth, and the Pope does for Orion, and the other one does, the White Pope does his magic here for the Eagle or the waters, for his friends, right? This is your friends. The water in Scorpio are your friends. The water in Cancer are the people in your home. And this is everybody else. Your associates, everybody else. But that's the magic they're playing. I've been watching them do it. When they do their rituals, that we can get it to the minute. And then you just simply go on and look. And every time, this is what they're doing. So every time the moon moves into Taurus or moves into Ophiuchus, the feminine axis of the fixed cross, they're using the power of the fixed cross. And they want either one of them to remain in power. Either one's fine with them. They're playing both sides. I'm sorry. Sides don't count anymore. You gotta go straight up the middle. There ain't no more sides. If you're on a side, you're out of bounds. And that's what they've done. They play both sides of the tree of life. The sun tree, the moon tree, the feminine, the masculine, the mercy, the severity, when it's right up the middle. Don't play either side. Be the independent. The next 2 ages, both ruled by Saturn, are about independence. It's about community. This one, no man takes my life, I lay it down. This is where the one gives himself for the whosoever. And then Capricorn is government, education, agriculture. These are jobs where the one serves the whole, the many, everybody, whosoever. So they're both about you. It's about individuality and what you have to offer to whosoever, to work for the whole. It's we're finally gonna come into our potential. We won't be cookie cuttered anymore, like in the dream, the white pyramid. Water, they want to cookie cutter us all out the same. Communism, all wear the same clothes, same haircut. They just like rubber stamp us, because we mean nothing to this age. Just what they can use us for, and they detest us. They hate us. But that's changing. They had their, when you look at this, I always had the confusion because it didn't make sense about Pisces living in this age. When you look at the alchemy, it should have been different. But it is the fact that they crucified Jupiter upside down. That's what happened. So everybody's been talking about a pole shift. I think before we see a shift here, we're going to see it on the other planets. I would like to see Jupiter. That may be what happened, is Jupiter flipped. This is the battle of fire and ice. It's the Game of Thrones. And you had Mars and Jupiter. This is Mars and Jupiter. And something happened and Jupiter flipped. I mean literally, pole shift. I'm talking planet here. That something happened astrologically, and that's what all this means. They tell us Venus is spinning backwards. But what if Venus is spinning correct and the rest of us are backwards? That different planets, they spin on their axis this way or that way. All that has relevance when it comes to this wheel. There are wheels within wheels, and that means variables. There are cycles within cycles. I have one wheel here, but I have the Sun, Venus, Mercury, the Moon, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, Pluto, all wheels within this wheel. These are the wheels within this wheel. And it's Willy Wheel. I don't even know where this video began. It was about Mercury taking off the mask. Is it going to be Mercury or Jupiter behind the mask? And they are one and the same. When I look at them, I'm literally seeing Peter and his son, or Christ called Jupiter, Satan, get thee behind me. So that would make Judas Iscariot the son of Satan. And they've told you it's Saturn. They've inverted, perverted, converted, subverted everything. Somebody mentioned in a comment yesterday that doesn't it seem that the sun is severity, the moon pillar. Let's do it from Orion because this is the package they're selling. The sun pillar is Betelgeuse and Soph. And Bellatrix and Rigel are the moon pillar in the Freemason temple. They show you the Orion's belt and the 7 stars of the Pleiades. But it's truly about the evil eye. But the pillar is also, what do you call it? The tree of life. The Kabbalah tree of life. And so you have the pillar of severity and the pillar of mercy. But these can switch. I'm telling you, just like we switch. We have both. Orion has both masculine and feminine. His left arm is feminine moon and his right arm is masculine sun. But it's very possible that these could switch to where the sun is loving and merciful and gives light and all of that. And because the moon is the frickin' destroyer in the age of Cancer. And that's who they're venerating now. They're venerating water world. And that's the moon. That's ruled by the moon. The moon has the most power in the water signs. Water signs are ruled by the moon, Jupiter, and Mars. Fire signs are ruled by the moon, the sun, Jupiter, and Mars. All water and fire are the sun and the moon, Jupiter and Mars. And they just keep swapping places. But what they did was they brought in Mercury, who rules earth and air, into this age, into these toes of iron. It should have been water. The iron should have been in water, and that makes it rust. So they flipped it. Rust never sleeps. They need to avoid the rust. Iron rusts. So to avoid that, they flip the cross. And Jupiter is on the bottom, and Mercury is on the top. That's why we see the woman with a little baby in her hands. That's baby Mercury, baby Loki, baby Judas Iscariot to me. But this is the damsel in distress in the big picture. And indeed it was. Because this was when the earth sign, which would have been either North America, Australia, or Africa, was invaded by one of the air signs, which would have been South America. Where's the other air sign? India, and part of the Orient. Who is it? Kukulkan, father of the blue sky. Kukulkan. We have all of these stories. They're all here. Actually, Kukulkan would have been over here. Gemini. So this is definitely South America. South America invaded either Africa, Australia, or North America, or all three. All three. But this thing lays out as a map on the earth. It's called the Sun Belt. And it's also the serpent that wraps itself around the egg or the earth. That's symbolic. And you got to know which way it's turning and where it's headed next. And the zodiac tells you that. The legend. You have to know the legend. And then you can read the map and you'll know exactly where the serpent goes. He goes from Africa, black, to Asia, yellow, to Europe, white, to the Americas, red. South America, red. North America, black. And then back to the Orient with the fire. That's why they call the Pacific the Ring of Fire. That's the illuminated mind. You don't know how important Hawaii is and why they want to control it. It's the Ring of Fire. We're in water world, right? That's the Ring of Fire. Now the earth is supposed to open its mouth here, or here, or here, and absorb a bunch of water that's coming. They send a flood after the woman, right? Flood can be immigration, migration, people. You have to learn to read. The Bible is a symbolic book. It's literal, it's metaphorical, it's esoteric, it's exoteric, it's everything. Somebody asked me, is this playing out metaphorically or literally? Both. What plays out metaphorically, the wizards, witches, and warlocks. Let me pause this. Let me get this said again. The witches, wizards, and warlocks, they, the ones ruling this age, the scribes is who it is. The scribes scribble the scriptures. They're the ones with the power, are the ones with the pen. It's the power of the pen. You write your own ticket. You pull the sword from the stone, the words from the tones, and you write your own story and you become King Arthur. Your story's already written. It's up here. It's called your cross. It's your burden in life. You know, I do a lot of charts, and every once in a while you get these people that just simply don't want to carry their cross. They will contact you daily wanting to know what's in store for them today based on their cross. And I'm not going to carry anybody else's cross. My boss tried to do that to me. I literally had to quit my job because my boss stood over me daily wanting to know, what now? Well, what about in 30 minutes? I mean, it was bad. He had an obsession with this woman, and she was with somebody else, but he couldn't break it. And he had me doing his chart, her chart, the other guy's chart. He was really obsessed and out of control. It was not just when I was at work. When I would go home, the phone would ring and it would begin all over again. And into the wee hours of the night. It's bad. And there are just some people who don't want to carry their own cross. But it's your journey. If somebody else takes it for you, what's that to you? We're told to take up our cross and follow him daily. If you're on my channel and you're one of my subs and you hadn't downloaded Stellarium yet, shame on you. There's a link in every video I've ever posted. Stellarium is free. You can do this all yourself. Here, let me show you how it's done. When you first launch Stellarium, this is what it's going to look like. You launch this bottom taskbar. Coming from the right to the left, I generally come to this button and turn off the meteor showers. In the next set of symbols, I'll come over here to the lightning bolt and turn that one on. Then I'll turn off the atmosphere, the cardinal points, and the landscape. In the last set of symbols, you'll see a running man icon. You turn that one on. Then we're going to come to the left-hand taskbar all the way to the top. An 8-pointed star is a symbol for navigation, and it's ruled by Mercury. I don't care what anybody says. Put the name of your city here. If you don't have the name of the city, if it doesn't show up in the list, if your city don't show up here, what you do is come down here and you put in a new name. a new location right here. You put that in, then you go on Google and you get the coordinates and enter it in here. And then you come down to this button and put add it to the list. And then when you add it to the list, the next time you type it in, it pops up here. When you find your location, Amran, Yemen, make sure the arrow's in the correct place, and then come back down to the running man icon and make sure the name of the city is over his head. Then you can X this box out. Coming back to the left-hand taskbar below the star, 8-pointed star, is the clock icon. Let's just roll it back to a date. That one looks good. Oh, well, let's just do it for today. Let's do it today. Whoop. You can tell Mercury's debilitated. I'm getting everything wrong. There we go. Today, in 1973. In 1973, Mars is exalted in Capricorn. Jupiter is debilitated in Capricorn. And the moon is there. Opposite. I always considered the moon debilitated here as well. People rave about the moon in Capricorn. But this is Saturn's house, and the moon and Saturn are opposed. Everybody's telling you about the Saturn-moon matrix. The Saturn and the moon are opposed. It is Jupiter and Mars that works with the moon. That's why in Islam you see the crescent moon with the star. That is Mars. That's Mars' star there. I don't care what anybody says to you. He's number 5. And Jupiter is number 6. Saturn's number is 7. The cube is Jupiter. It is not, I repeat, not Saturn cube. They've lied about everything. Mercury, kind of where it is now. Isn't that ironic? In Aquarius moving back into Venus combust of the sun here. Venus is usually exalted here, but here she would be combust of the sun. Saturn in Taurus. I want to run the moon for a minute, but that's how you would do your chart. This is how you would load it and how you would do it. I want to do the moon. Whoops. Okay, that's way high. I want to get the moon on its low pattern when it comes into the evil eye. That's way up there. So it's been dropping. I need to go forward instead of backwards. That one's almost there. I want to catch it in the eye. So 85. Sun's almost there too. 86. Nope, he went high again. Let's move the sun. Way high now. I have the video. It's called Mansions of the Moon. Let me see what date that was. Because now, there he is. He's close now. There it is. It's this year. It's this frickin' year that the moon pulls the evil eye. There it is. I didn't even know that. So we're coming up on that just as Mercury's coming out of his debilitation. So you can hell enough mark April the 9th on your calendar. This will be the Black Lodge ritual that it hadn't done in about 10 years. It seems it's about maybe 8 or 10 years ago I'd done this video to where the moon landed in Oculus Boreas. And you'll find this in the movie Brand from Russia. It's a Russian movie, not Russell Brand, but Brand, and it has to do with logo symbolism in advertisement. And they show you the ritual of the red heifer when the moon is in Oculus Boreas. So, big day, April 9th. Big ritual. Let's see what the moon does in Ophiuchus. Oh, back it up. And then we'll have another ritual right there on 422. This will be the opposing ritual. They'll run in patterns. This is what they do. I've been watching them. So your FFs, everybody knows what that is. I don't want to say it. Your FFs, this is when they'll go down. April, heads up on that. I'm going to go ahead and call it now because I've watched what they do. And there are 2 rituals going down. Ironically, this one seems to be more sacrificial than this one's done in public, okay? This one is, they'll show you publicly, like the 2016 Reset Together, Reset to Get Her, and the other one was the 9/11 ritual that they done behind closed doors. Right, the ritual was done. We got to see the manifestation, but the ritual, we didn't get to see the ritual. Here, they showed us the ritual, but not the manifestation. Does that make sense? How they flipping everything here? Alright, this video is an hour long. I'm stopping it here. I needed a break. My charts were starting to bleed together. So I usually stop, do a video, play a game or something to break that sequence in my head. When I get to doing too many that are so much alike, I'll make mistakes. By the time I'm doing the 3rd one, I'm making a mistake. So I have to take a break. And I was thinking about the upside down cross, how all of this is going down, how important it is for you people to know the legend, to learn the symbolism, to learn just the simple basic alchemy, earth, water, air, fire, mutable, fixed, cardinal, just simple, just 12 little symbols is all you need to know. 3 little crosses and 4 little elements. How hard can it be? And if you would simply learn that, it would all make sense to you. A lot of the questions you're asking, you would be able to answer yourself. And it's our programming. This is really so simple. It would be easier for me to teach a kindergartner when you give them the blocks, the squares, the circles, the triangles, than to teach somebody like ourselves who have been through years of programming to be deprogrammed, because we're all upside down. We're all the hanged man on this upside down world, upside down water world. Alright, I'm going to cut it there. I haven't asked in a while, but if my channel has been a benefit to you, please consider becoming a sponsor or making a one-time donation. A monthly sponsor, $5, $10 would be awesome. I only have a couple that give regularly, and it's not much, but they faithfully, $10 a month, and the other one is $30 a month. And I appreciate them, but I could use a lot more of those. So if you're so inclined, put me between your water and your gas bill. And go out and commit that not random act of kindness, but make it a daily ritual. Make it part of your life. When you have an opportunity to be kind, you should jump on that opportunity, because then you're banking karma. And after what we've been through and the way we've reacted to it as a species, we can use all the karma, good karma we can get. And we need to bank karma instead of money. I love you all, and be the best, be the kindest you can be.